It says I'm live, so hopefully I'm live. And it looks like the chat's working. Man, YouTube, you're losing your grip. Yes, it's blue. It's blue. Yeah, I've got a few that aren't black. Just never wear them. Okay, so welcome to Coffee Time Live. This is my chance once a week to interact with contributors and subscribers, supporters of the channel. You get to ask any questions that you want. That's the second half of this. I just ask you, please preface it with 4 question marks so I can find it. I try not to miss any questions, but now and then I do. Also, once I sign off, I no longer see the chat. It just stops for me. Just as I hit the stop last week, to stop the live feed, I saw a contribution pop up, and I don't know who it was. I don't know. I don't even know how much it was, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. So this week, we're going to talk about just 3 topics. One, we're going to talk about free TV and why you don't want to spend money on cable. We're going to talk a little bit about weather and the heat wave that we had for a few days here. And last, I want to talk about compromise or sacrifice in the terms of, if you move to a place like this, are you going to compromise? How much are you going to have to sacrifice in order to do it? Is it worth it? So those are the topics for today, and then whatever questions you have to ask. Don't need that. Thought my ears were a little stuffy, a little plugged up. Okay, before we get started, just want to take a second to just mention another YouTuber that began YouTubing I think maybe 6 years ago, a year or 2 before I began. And he was in the Philippines, and his name is Mike. I believe his last name was Cason, although he always called himself Mike Philippine. Seemed like a nice guy. I would watch his videos from time to time. I spent a little time in the Philippines. I lived there for a short time. And blue shirt, yeah. And so I was, it's like, it was one of the places I considered, but too hot, too many mosquitoes. But out of curiosity to, I don't know, did I make the right choice or whatever, I would just watch him from time to time. And another one called Ned. There were a few others, but I just stopped watching them. Like me, most aren't very good. So I would watch Ned once in a while, and I would watch Mike from the Philippines. The thing with Mike is his videos kind of sucked. His quality kind of sucked, but it was real, and I appreciated that. And so I would go back from time to time and watch it. And it was interesting to watch the progression of him and his videos. I think his first couple years, it was him searching out some girlfriend. It was always some new girl on the channel, and he would travel different places to go see girls, and he didn't do it or whatever. He would go out in the countryside and he would just find these country girls, and whatever he was searching for. And eventually he found one that stayed with him for a couple years. Well, this past week he passed away, and his girlfriend actually videoed it, because in the Philippines it's tradition, it's typical to display the body. In the US, we have something like that. You can have an open coffin, but in the Philippines they just put him in the living room and just, it's like Weekend at Bernie's kind of thing. And so she did the video in the hospital and just kept showing these photos. It was a little disconcerting, but he did pass away from congestive heart failure and kidney failure, I believe, although the forthcoming information has not been very good. he's been sick for a couple years. And it was sad to see the decline over the 6 years. But then when you go to a place, like here, and you're in your last years of the episode of your life, those things can happen. And his access to healthcare, it might have been there, but I think it was kind of spotty, and he was one of those guys that didn't go. So I just want to just say rest in peace, Mike. It's just part of life. Okay, free TV and why you don't want cable. Now, when I first went to Cuenca, yes, we get praise. It reminded me of that. When I first went to Cuenca, you do what everybody does. You go and you try to recreate the parts of the life that you liked. And so I got there, and I didn't know anything about the things I'm going to tell you about. So I think, well, I want cable because I want to watch football games, and I want to watch an occasional movie or something. Like, we like TV, Yeah, some of it's more than others. I like it later at night. During the day, I don't really care for it that much, but later at night, 9 o'clock on, I love to watch TV. As a matter of fact, from 9 until about 1 in the morning, when I'll get sleepy, that's usually all TV. I watch movies, I keep up with series. It depends. I love documentaries. Right now, I'm on Netflix on videos or filming that have been recreated or restored from World War II. And good morning. So, okay, sidetrack. So I get to Cuenca and I sign up for cable, the equivalent of Time Warner. And what did it cost? It cost me $120 a month. Because you want to get this package and that package, and it was no cheaper. I think it might have even been more in Cuenca. And I turn the cable on and everything's in Spanish, so I change the settings to English, and then I turn the show on and it's still in Spanish. And I found out that there were really only a handful of shows that were in English. It seemed kind of crazy because these shows were developed in English, their original language. Well, they change it and they don't even give you access to put it back. I don't know what that's about. And so I'm watching these shows. It was pretty frustrating. What I really disliked was watching football, and it was all in Spanish, and it just was kind of so I'm spending $120 a month and not getting what I had hoped for. So I start doing some searching on YouTube and on the internet, and I find out about Kodi. Well, since then, I have Kodi. I use it occasionally for certain things. Kodi is a framework, and within it, you can pull up different packages. You can load them in. Like this one might be live TV. This one might specialize in movies. And it used to be kind of difficult because every couple of weeks you'd have to update it, and one site would go out of business and another one would begin, and it was just kind of chaotic. Well, that's pretty much stabilized, and it's pretty reliable now. And there's some packages like Exodus, rebooted Exodus. I've used that same package now going on 2 years, I think. And you just have to update it once in a while. Now, what does it have? Basically, everything that exists on this planet is there. But let's say I decide I want to watch an episode of the new MacGyver. So I turn it on, it begins, and then it buffers and freezes and buffers and freezes, and it's unwatchable. That happens once in a while. The links aren't always trustworthy. So, but you can get TV and it's free, and you can get whatever you want, and most things work out pretty well. So that was a possibility. How do you do it? Just go to YouTube and type in install Kodi. It'll give you step-by-step instructions. But over time, I discovered, some other things. For example, the one that I use a lot is called Stremio. Uh, just type in Stremio, as in Stream.io, Stremio. I don't remember if it's .net, .com, .tv. I don't remember. Just type in Stremio, and you'll see a link. And you can put it on your phone. You can put it on your laptop. You can put it on your Fire Stick for your TV, or the other one, the other Android TV device. Forget the name of it. Doesn't matter. I use Fire Stick. So, that it's not live, but has pretty much any TV show you can imagine. It has, I can watch current movies that are in the theater. I can watch. Now, once in a while, you'll get them where they're bootlegged and they're video camming the screen, and they kind of suck. And so if that's what comes up, I'll wait till the actual clear HD picture comes out. And so I'll just postpone that. But sometimes you get them when they're actually in the theater. Sometimes it might be a month afterwards, but before it gets to, HBO, for example. So I really like Stremio, and I use that a fair amount. It's better with the links, but you'll still run into a link where the thing will be timed out for quite a period of time. Not very often, but there's some shows, like for some reason, pretty much most of the Ramsay cooking shows, which I like Hell's Kitchen, for example, a lot of those will just time out, and I don't know what that is, but a lot of other things you can see with most things you can see without a problem. So, there's an option, and that in and of itself, for me, is really more than you need. Except once in a while, you need a free TV. So, what's a good free TV? Well, I'm going to tell you the simplest one, and it's called. Get your pen and paper, write this down, or look at this video at the 12-minute mark. USTVGo.tv. USTVGo. USTVGO.tv. It's web-based, so there's no program. It just comes up, you put it up on your browser. Now, I put it up on my Chrome. I put it in the Fire Stick, no problem, works great. I put it up in the my laptop, and what happened in the Chrome browser, it says, this is not set up to be in your country. Okay, so do you need a VPN? Well, it doesn't take much of a VPN for this program. If you don't have Opera browser, just download it. It's a good browser. It's very similar to Chrome without a lot of the baggage, so it runs cleaner. So I've got Opera. I don't use it very much, but I downloaded Opera in the past, so I opened it up because it has a free built-in VPN. Now on the Fire Stick, I didn't need it, but on my laptop, I did. So I open it up in browser and I put ustvgo.tv, and sure enough, it pops up. There it is. And if you look at the top, there's a link that says TV Guide. It's not the brand TV Guide, it's just a guide for the TV. And so you click on that and then save or favorite that so it just comes up all the time. Or you can drag the link over once you have that, drag it over to your desktop. On Fire TV, you save it and that'll come up whenever you use the browser. On the Fire TV, I use the provided Silk browser. It just says internet with a Amazon thing under it. So the TV Guide, what comes up on the screen is, the time from, let's say, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and it'll have a banner with the channel icon to one side and whatever is on at that time. So the time comes up whenever it's your time, and you can watch live, and it's got NFL and NBA, the pay-per-view fight was on. I didn't watch it, but I did check the link to see if it was working. It worked fine. Because it's a browser, it isn't. I noticed from channel to channel, sometimes it came out crystal clear HD. Other times it came out, you know, an older format, but it was all watchable. Most of them were HD quality, and it's entirely free. So if you like live TV, you want to watch Fox News or CBS News, or you want to watch, you know, whatever channel, or Food TV or Sci-Fi or whatever, it's got, I don't know, hundreds. Basically, it's just your premium cable TV service. It's got HBOs, you know, the 5 or 6 types, and it's got all of that. It doesn't cost you a dime, and you don't even have a program to load in. You're just watching it off the browser. And again, it does work on the Fire Stick, so you can watch it on TV also. Or you can put it on your laptop and cast it. Now it comes up in a small window, and it's got advertisements over here, but all you have to do is enlarge it. It'll fill the screen, and then you don't see all the little advertisements. It's the advertisements that allow them to do it. It's complicated. I don't want to go into it. So there you go. That's how you can watch whatever it is you want to watch and never have to pay a dime again. The only thing I continue to be subscribed in is the Netflix, the below the $10, $7 or $8 or whatever. I've never canceled the subscription. I do watch it occasionally, mostly because it works really good. So if there's something on there that is something I would want to watch, and I have my choice, I'll usually watch that on Netflix. Oh, there is a warning I'll tell you on Stremio, that it's got a bunch of porn sites as choices too. You can choose all kinds of different things and a bunch of porn sites. So, you know, if you're a prude, you're gonna, as you scroll through, you'll see this channel that's, you know, got all kinds of porn thumbnails and things. It's down towards the bottom. It's not real prevalent. I could care less, but just, you know, so you know, oh my God, there's porno on there. Yeah, well, everything on the internet basically is available. I get US Go TV, yeah. So, you know, that's a way to do it. I only occasionally will watch live TV if there's some particular event. I don't want to wait for the preview or whatever. Then, you know, live TV is handy. I used Kodi before, but you open Kodi, and then I'd have to open and then search for the link. With this program, you just kind of go right to it. It does hog a little more internet than normal streaming would. I think maybe because of the advertising, but you know, my internet, it doesn't have a problem with it. Okay, so that's it on the TV. I haven't even got to the main topic, so I got to speed it up here. I mentioned heat wave again. The nice couple came to kind of check out Armenia, Pareda, and Manizales. They're not here for very long, and I hung out with them for a couple days. They bought me a really nice dinner at that Italian restaurant. Want to thank them. I had all kinds of video for that apartment and that restaurant, and yet again, settings changed on me and everything came out in slow-mo, and most of it was not usable, and trying to convert it back to regular speed was really an issue. So I mean, this camera, the camera, I love it, but it drives me crazy. I can't figure out how these settings keep changing. And I can't see them. It's just too small. Yeah, you can plug your phone in, but if you're walking around with your phone and the camera, you kind of lost the purpose of this camera being covert. But anyway, while they were here, we had we were in the midst of a heat wave that had gone on for a day or two, and then they were here for 3 days before they left town. And for 2 of those 3 days, it got up to about 90. And one of those days was the first time ever that I've been here or it ever in the past had been here, where the breeze stopped for about 4 hours. There was zero breeze, and it was about 90, and it was hot. We were out walking, and I'm just showing them. We walked all the way from the mall all the way down to Bolivar Plaza, and then we walked some more, and it was hot. I mean, I felt sweaty. Um, it was uncomfortable. And, they're looking, it's like, well, this is a little warm, it's like you're always talking about Pareda. And it's like, well, actually, that's what it felt like. And if it were like that very often, I probably never would have moved here. But you will. We're at the warm time of year, where it's the opposite of rainy. It's not very rainy, and you're going to get that once in a while. Last year, I told you about a hot spell twice a year. This is as hot as it's ever been, and there was no breeze, and it was weird. I hadn't seen it, and I predicted. I think this is like before we're going to get some big rainstorm, and sure enough, the next day, at night, we got this big thunder boomer rainstorm. But just prior to it, when we kind of sat down in the shade and we're having a water and we're just talking, um, in Bolivar Plaza, the wind kicked up. It kicked up, and it was really almost gale force. It was pretty strong, stronger than normal by far. And so we got a whole range of things, but ever since then, the humidity's gone. And we've been running 72 to 75 degrees as a high. And last night, it got down to about 62 degrees at night. So for me, perfect weather. It's been great. But I tell you about the breeze, it's always here, and how great the weather is. I'm telling you that because no place is ever exactly a certain way. And 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 days out of the year, it can get pretty warm. And once ever in my experience, the breeze actually stopped here in Armenia. So, it can happen. Um, International living, if you go ahead and read that comment. My worst nightmare is happening. Unfortunately, they didn't mention Armenia. No, they're really trying to push Manizales. There's a reason for it. I know why. I know who. I know what's going on. Um, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. I am not a fan of who's doing this, but I feel bad for Manizales. And they're going to do what they do everywhere. They're going to tell only the positive, flowery, wonderful things and leave off the other side, which is a good segue. The reason I mentioned your note is to my main topic, and that's compromise or sacrifice. Now, this came up actually about 2 months ago. I was having a conversation. A guy was here, his first time on a fact-finding mission, and this last couple were here just a couple of days ago. Well, they're still in the area. They're in Manizales today, coming back tomorrow to fly out. The topic came up with them, and it reminded me of this guy a couple months ago. And a couple months ago, we had about a 2-hour conversation, and he was looking for everything to be where he came from. Now, where he came from was near Seattle. It's a town near Seattle. He spoke about Seattle a lot, but he was actually not from, he didn't live in the city. It was nearby. And he wanted to find everything to be just like where he was. Okay, where can I get this? Where can I do this? Where can I, like that? And I tried to explain to him that you're going to have some compromises. Well, in your video, you said you don't have any compromise. I don't. for what I'm looking for, and as compared to what was going on in Cuenca. As a matter of fact, if you go back in my library, it was over 3 years ago, December 1st, 2016. If you look for that, you'll find a video that's Cuenca, Ecuador. I think the name of it was Sacrifice, or it might have had a longer name, Sacrifice. And all of this reminded me of that video. I actually went back and watched it a while back, and in that I had a long list of things that in Ecuador, particularly in the Cuenca, in Cuenca, that you're going to have to, if you want to live there, you're going to have to do certain things or do without certain things. And that list, I had a long list of things. And basically, it was Amazon, forget it. It's not going to happen. Even if you can get a few things sent to you, if a few things will come through, you're going to pay 4 times. And I had an example of the Alexa speaker things, and I had priced out what I was looking for, and it came to like $200. If I were in the United States, it would cost $200 shipped to my door. Well, it was something that I could get shipped to Ecuador, but the price was over $800 for the same thing. So even if you can get it, the price was just crazy. And I just couldn't bring myself to do that. And that was back when I had some money in my pocket. Prices in general, I mentioned outside of rent, some things for the market, and your lunches out, everything else is more expensive. And so I talked about that. And you're just gonna pay more for a lot of things you want. Cheeses, if you like cheeses, forget it. I mean, you're not going to get any kind of a good cheese there. Queso fresco, that's it. But even those have this weird barnyard taste. Mentioned steak. I mean, that's completely out. There's no marbling. The cuts of beef there, they don't even have a cut in the United States that is low as that. So you're going to give that up. The dog situation, just kind of running rampant, the noise, kind of give up the idea that you're going to sleep through the night because you have dogs and chickens even in the city. So, so I go through this laundry list, and it, not to run the place down, but these are things that you better be prepared. If you want to live there, be prepared. These are going to be the compromises or sacrifices you're going to have to make. And you can go through and make a list of things that are there that are unique to it that you won't find somewhere else. And you have to decide, where does that balance come? You can't go to a place and just complain, well, it's not like the USA. No, it's not, because it's not the USA. But, you got to put some thought to this. Regions in the United States are different than other regions. New Orleans is not like where I'm from, upstate New York. It's not like it. There's things in upstate New York. We've got the, Finger Lakes and the Thousand Islands and Niagara Falls, and we've got, restaurants there's restaurants in upstate New York that you will not find the type of food in New Orleans. On the other hand, I've been to New Orleans a bunch of times, and there's things about New Orleans. I mean, it's picturesque. There's restaurants there that you will not find anywhere else in the country, types of food. There's a flavor to it. It's unique. One's not like the other. So if you're going from New Orleans and moving to upstate New York or vice versa, either way, you're going to miss something. You're going to have to compromise something. If I move from upstate New York to New Orleans, I'll never see a Zweigel hot dog again, for example. So every place is a compromise. It's not because it's Colombia or because it's Ecuador. What's important is to step back and look at what it is you would be compromising, and then weight it. See if it's something is it worth it to you. If you're expecting the same thing here as wherever it is you're coming from, it's just crazy. It's pointless. You're just setting yourself up for failure. Cuenca was an extreme amount of compromises, and it's still worth it for half the people that go there. Colombia, Armenia is far less that has to be compromised, but it may be something in particular for you that you don't like. You know, just language in general. I mean, if you're from upstate New York or Seattle, you come here and everything's in Spanish. Maybe that's, you know, a step too far. I'll get used to it. I'll learn what I need to learn. Okay, then, you know, you can overcome that compromise. But everywhere is a compromise. I mean, you could say, well, Hawaii, it's beautiful, or Japan, one of my favorite places, but they're expensive. So you can go there, but they're going to be farther away from the U.S. if you need to go back. But I know Hawaii is U.S., but same thing. And they're just a lot more expensive to live, so you better have more money in your budget. I mean, I love upstate New York, but I love it 6 months of the year. It's too much for me. I can't. I could live there for similar money, but the compromise of 6 months of the year, locking yourself indoors and struggling with, you know, snow drifts constantly, and buying snow tires and being stuck and all of the things that go with it. The heat bills, oh my God. My last heat bill in upstate New York was $1,000 a month. That was some years ago. More than 10, it was 12 years ago. And it was $1,000 a month then. So, you know, it was a compromise, and it was a compromise I was no longer willing to make, although I absolutely love that area the other 6 months of the year, except there's a lot of mosquitoes. And so that's a problem. So those two things made me no longer want to live in the place that I think is one of the best in the world when you're not dealing with those things, when it narrows it down so much that it's not much of a life going on. Florida, I mean, there's so many things you could say about Florida, but when it comes right down to it, most of the time it's too hot, too muggy, you know? So it's all a compromise in Cuenca. You know, you've got the altitude that you may or may not have to deal with. You've got the cost of things. You've got a whacked out government that just can't seem to get their act together, and it's constantly changing, and you never really know what the rules are. They do it on the fly. It depends on what office you go into. It depends on what the clerk feels like on that particular day. You know, so all of this are things that you're going to have to compromise, and you have to figure out, you know, it's like, what's the most important things? It's like, is it going to fulfill the need, and is there going to be too much of a compromise for you? I mean, is it family? Maybe you're going to be away from your family too much. Maybe you can't afford to fly back, you know, half a dozen times a year. Although here they're kind of eliminating that as an issue. It's gotten quite inexpensive, but these are only you know what the trade-off is. But it's important that you look at it with clear eyes. And it's important that you understand before you go anywhere, whether it's across the country in the United States, or whether it's to Canada, or whether it's to Colombia. Understand there will be compromises, and all you really have to do is sort out what those compromises will be. Make a list of what's really important to you, and are those things available? And if there's a few that aren't, is it worth the compromise that you're going to have to make? Everything isn't just because the cost of living is cheap here. You know, there's all kinds of things that will offset, and there's very few things to compromise, but your list can be different than mine. I find myself not compromising anything here, where in Cuenca I compromised a ton of things. And it you know, the altitude thing, the health thing became the last straw for me. It's like, I just don't want to be here anymore, even though I really enjoyed my time in my life when I was there. Okay, so that's my topic for today. How are we on time? Woo, about 5 minutes over. It's time for your questions. Any questions that you have, please put the 4 question marks. And if you like contributing, feel free. I'm way down for the last couple months, so feel free. I do have some trips I want to take. All right, my worst nightmare is I said that. Okay, you change the setting to use VPN and Opera, then it works. It's not set by default. Yeah, when you open Opera, it won't give you the VPN. You just have to turn the VPN on and choose North America, and it'll work for you. But it's free of charge. So, you got your free TV. And you can watch it on your phone. You can watch it, well, it's Stremio too. You can put it on your phone, your laptop, TV. Kodi, same. All of these you can pretty much watch on anything that you want to watch it on. Any questions? Or are we going to end real early today? The no is in regards to Manizales, and yeah, I got it. Yeah, it'll be a shame because what international living does, it's like, why are they called international lying? I didn't make that up, that people use that. And I, like most people, when you start researching, they're one of the first things that pop up, and they've got all kinds of information. So, it kind of draws you in. Why? Because they're a big business and they spend a ton of money to do that, to come up as, as the first thing. But, and I don't fault them for being a business. I don't fault them for having $3,000 seminars and various packages, tiers. It's like one person's more important than the next because you paid more for a package. I get all of that, and I have no problem with it. I'm a free enterpriser. My problem is when you lie and manipulate intentionally in order to make that money. I have a real problem with that. I love capitalism, but that's the kind I don't care for, and it's what spoils people's idea of what capitalism or free enterprise really is. It's sneaky. I find it disgusting. What do? Well, they can know that there's a fault about a place, but they won't tell you. And the ones that they do tell you the downside are the ones that really aren't, but it's so that they can appear to be balanced. They can say, well, such and such, well, it's not this. And I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but they're meaningless negative points that, it doesn't mean anything. It's when I tried to come up with 10 things about Armenia I didn't like, and none of them really meant anything, but I was grasping at straws, but I was honest about it. I explained, what I was doing. They're not. They make it sound like everything is perfect. If you go back to when they started hammering Costa Rica and what Costa Rica was like at the time, and they got so many people to go there, it became the place to go. And people find out, and it also corrupts places because you have this influx of people. Excuse me, didn't mean to spit on you. You have this influx of people that don't understand that they need to fit into where they are, and they need to change everything, and they do by throwing a lot of money around them. They drive prices up. It happened in Panama, it happened in Cuenca, and it happened in Medellin. Now they're coming after Manizales and Pereira to a lesser extent, but Manizales. And there's well, I don't want to go there, but if you don't have anything nice to say about people, there's somebody behind all of this who lived in Pereira and now is in Manizales, and I don't know, the whole thing is just seedy, and it's unfortunate. If you subscribe to International Living and send them money, you might want to reconsider. You don't need a $3,000 seminar to know how to live somewhere. Again, it's not that they're a business. I mean, if you want to spend $3,000 to do that, that's it's fine. I have no problem with that. But they're really not preparing people with all the things that they need to know. I know because I've met people that have been through these, and they get rude awakenings, and they shouldn't. If you're spending $3,000 for information about a place that you're going to move to, there shouldn't be any surprises. You paid for the purpose of not being surprised, and that's just not happening. So anyway, I'm probably going to get sued, but that's okay because I don't have any money. So, do you know if you can use these sites you mentioned on Roku? Yes. Well, the US TV Go.tv, whatever. I've told you before. What is it? USTVGo.tv. That's just out of a browser. And so anywhere that you've got an internet browser, it will function. The other Stremio, all of those, yeah, it's just Roku is like Fire Stick. It's just Android. And these, when you go to Stremio, for example, you can choose Apple, you can choose Android, you can choose Windows, you can choose, I know there's 6 different formats. I can't think blank, but there's 6 different formats. You just download the one that suits wherever you're going to watch it. So on my laptop, I downloaded the one for Windows. On my Fire Stick, I downloaded the one for Android. On my phone, I put the one for Android. If I had an iPhone, after spanking myself, I would download the one for the iOS. So yeah, they're available, no problem with Roku. Any other questions? Going. Wow. It's a very overcast day, but man, it's just, I don't know what the temperature is. It feels like it's probably about 70 degrees. Got a nice breeze. It's overcast, so it's light. It's not dark overcast, but there's no bright sun. But it's a beautiful day. It sprinkled a little bit last night, but not much. We went about 8 or 10 days where it didn't rain, which is very unusual, and that temperature was very unusual. It was fun to watch all hell break loose, watch the wind kick up and then the torrential downpour. It was very cool. You just knew it was coming. All right, so that's it. No more, no mas. Terminal. Give you another second here. Be interested to know your comments on this idea of the compromise and sacrifice. If you think I explained it well to be enough to be useful, did I ramble on too much? I think it's a really good point, just because of the number of people that I see that seem unprepared for that. And you might want to go back and watch that video that I talked about 3+ years ago. And I'm not seeing any other questions, so I know there's a lot of regular viewers and contributors that are not subscribed, because it tells me. So please do subscribe. The count, I really need to get to 10,000, and I can have some surprises for you. At the rate we're going, I mean, I can't even get to 2,600. So, maybe it's never going to happen. I just keep hoping that one of these days, I can get to 10,000. Philippine Mike had something like 32,000 subscribers. So, fingers crossed. Okay, so I think that's the end of it. And my screen's acting up and I don't have any way to shut it off. Okay, well, I'm going to unplug the phone and God, I hate YouTube. I'll see you next week.